If you've been watching my Cardano videos lately, you might have heard me talk about the pivot point. That is this macro shift from bear market into bull market. I'm optimistic because I think it's what's happening. I'm optimistic because I think we even have indicators that we've talked about on this YouTube channel signaling that it is happening. Now, with that in mind, I want to show you what that pivot point could speculatively look like with even more downside. If we hit downside targets for Cardano, what that might look like. The name of the game, and I know 90% plus of you understand this. The name of the game right now is patience as we go through this pivot, as we wait for macroeconomic events to kind of cool down. We wait for things like inflation. We have more CPI data coming out tomorrow. We wait for these things. But in this video, I want to spend a lot of time on the daily, but let's start on this weekly chart. One thing I want to note, it's actually in the thumbnail of this video. It's this weekly candle. Very, very interested because this weekly candle is kind of anchoring in that pivot point that I've been talking about. We've waited pretty much for over a year for this move, and it has happened. We've got the break above the 20-week moving average. I talked about that move a lot. Now that it's happened, it is important for me to pay attention to that move. That's not just something I was waiting for to happen and I'm just going to forget about. This literally is a very big signal for me. So we got that move through the 20-week moving average. We even got probably a more important part of that, which is we've gotten some weekly closes above the 20-week moving average, some separation. And because of that separation, we've had room to the downside. Now we still have 6 days left of this weekly candle. I want to kind of break down in this video what I would like to happen, but also what might happen. And so let's kind of start doing that. And to really kind of break it down, the daily chart is really going to act as a really strong guide for us. This is what the daily chart looks like. I know it looks like a mess. Don't be too intimidated because it's very simple what's happening on this chart. I'm going to break it down step by step as simply as possible. Hit that like button and let's do it. We're going to start with this. This is a video from 2 weeks ago. Check this out real quick. I'm not saying I want it to happen, but why would we not just for a minute just be ready for a crazy move like that, right? Right? Just ADA falling, breaking down. If crypto markets, there it is, breaking down on the daily out of that rising wedge that we were tracking. And look at this. Why would we not be ready for this? And if we actually really quickly just change this to a 6-hour chart, even look at this break to the downside on this wedge, coming to the downside, popping right back to the lower trend line, failing, and then falling. I mean, it's just such a good setup in terms of technical analysis. And this is the move. We're cruising to the downside. Breakout target just above 30 cents, 30 to 32 cents is what I like to call it. And when we're looking at this chart now, we can see what's going on. We're on our way down. It doesn't necessarily mean we're going to hit that target of 30, 31 cents. But if we're looking at this daily chart, we just had a daily close and look at the wick on this daily. So in the very short term, I'm going to start with the short term and then I'm going to pivot to what could potentially be a more drastic downside. But in the short term, because we have the new CPI data being released tomorrow, if the stock market, and this is what the S&P 500 chart looks like, if the stock market breaks out, this could be a bullish case for Cardano on this daily chart. But if it falls, if the stock market falls, if the headlines aren't vibing with the news tomorrow, with the CPI data, stock market's falling, US dollar currency index starts kind of climbing back to the upside, and that's what this chart looks like, then Cardano potentially falling lower. First target is that 30 to 32 cent range. But what I really want to make a note of, and this is the part where I talk about what could very simply happen. It's not what I want to happen, but what could very simply happen is we hit the target, and look what's just below the target. It's this range right here. And this even is a bullish case for Cardano. And I don't mean to try and take these big bearish falls and try and make them sound good and try and throw hopium. But when we're discussing what a pivot looks like from a bear market to bull market, it really is moves like this, all the way up, all the way back down, higher lows on the macro. And we have to endure these things. And that's why I like to anticipate them, just so that I can endure them. I'm ready mentally. But if we hit the target to the downside, and who knows what that would look like, if there's support there, a bounce, because we have this 50-day moving average right here on the daily chart. But what is below is this. It's the swing low that we had on this daily to the swing high. And we have this higher low Fibonacci retracement. It's right around 30 cents to around 27 cents. Now notice more importantly what is in that range. It's this yellow trend line that you see here. That yellow trend line is part of this huge, massive falling rising wedge with a breakout target to around 60 cents. And this could be like a multi-week, multi-month thing, right? So this is what it takes to happen, these setups. We might get that just throwback to that trend area in the sub 30 cent range. And macroeconomic, CPI data events, all the headlines, everything going on with inflation and interest rates, they could play into that fall. So that's what could happen. And technically it makes sense. It's even bullish in the sense of if you start zooming out on the charts and looking at the bigger picture. Because look, if that happened on this daily chart, let's get a different perspective. We have the RSI. RSI already coming down pretty drastically. The slower moving momentum oscillator. Look at this, coming pretty quickly down. And this stock RSI, quicker moving momentum oscillator, already an oversold, right? So all of these things, these momentum oscillators already approaching this capitulation type of picture, this downfall type of picture, and we still have all this space right here for Cardano to fall. So if that happens, then truly Cardano will be oversold, and we would be talking about Cardano being oversold if we get this huge fall. And this is an if. And then we're going to talk about what I want to happen after this part. If we get this fall, Cardano's oversold, and we've put in this huge pivot point. And then it's just, man, we are just really getting close to the end of this bear market, in the bottom range of this bear market. And this is, for me, speculatively, because we don't know what's going to happen here, but this is the type of things that I envision, the type of things I like to visualize because they make sense from a technical analysis perspective. We see these setups all of the time. And now if it happened, we're just entering a very bullish territory. This is, in my view, a very big opportunity area. That is not to say, and I can't highlight this enough, and I do this all the time, I see opportunity areas and ADA just falls lower, crypto falls lower, something crazy happening, something bad happens, right? So this isn't to say we can't go lower. There's always opportunity for that. We always say crypto could go to zero, anticipate everything, expect nothing. But these are just really the general targets from a technical analysis perspective that I would anticipate, and we've been anticipating. So now that this is all playing out, what do I want to happen? I would love to see just markets react positively with whatever CPI data is tomorrow, headlines looking nice, stock market going up, and here's what we have playing out on this chart. This would be a little bit different of a daily chart. The bullish case for ADA, which is this, support above the 50-day moving average, especially after getting this wick down here. We kind of came down to 34, 35 cents on this daily chart. So I would really like to see just this revisit to the 50-day moving average, and all the while on the weekly, continued support above this 20-week moving average. What would be absolutely epic would be if this weekly candle closes above the 20-week moving average, and not only above, if it could close green. And right now to close green, we're looking at, it needs to be like 36 to 37 cents, really. 37 cents to close green. So a move like that in the next 6 days, I don't know what it would look like. Maybe we get capitulation down first, and then the weekly just pops right back up and we close above the 20-week. But it's really what I want to see happen. It would be extremely bullish. We've already noted that this move is bullish. The separation we've gotten from the 20-week moving average, it's a good thing. The pivot point is here, in my opinion. But if we start getting even just continued support along the 20-week moving average as we bottom out and as we kind of pivot, that would be just really, really good, in my opinion. But we always allow for downside. We have targets to downside. We've had them. We've had the targets to downside, and we know what they look like, so we're prepared at all times. These are my thoughts on Cardano. I know it's been a little bit since I've done a Cardano technical analysis, but there it is. Let me know your thoughts. Everybody, price not doing anything too crazy right now as I do this video, so it'll be very, very interesting to see what happens tonight, overnight, going into tomorrow, the big CPI release day. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, everybody. I appreciate you. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.